In front of me are three fantastic gimbals from DJI, and here's my thoughts on the one that you should get. Gimbals have been a videographer's main go-to equipment for stabilizing on the go. DJI gimbals have earned a reputation for delivering great stabilization and versatility in a compact package. And today, we're putting three of their top pro models head-to-head: the RS2, the RS3 Pro, and the RS4 Pro as of recent. Stick around and I'll tell you which of these three are better suited for you as we look at performance, different features and functions, and which one is a better value for your buck. Design and build quality. They all share a sleek and overall professional design with a carbon fiber and metal feel, but there are a couple of subtle differences to note on each model. Let's start with the RS2. The RS2 is the most compact and lightweight feel of the three, and it makes it a really good just grab and go option for a lot of filmmakers. Meanwhile, the RS4 Pro boasts a larger form factor which may offer better stability for heavier camera setups. Honestly, the RS3 is very similar feeling to the RS4 in terms of overall quality and look. There's just a couple of subtle differences on the actual gimbal itself. The RS4 Pro specifically has carbon fiber and Teflon coating on the axis arms. Not that that makes much of a difference, but it is there. Another main difference between the RS3 Pro versus the RS4 Pro is the cable input ports on the top motor. All three are on the front of the RS2 and the RS3. Those inputs are pretty easily accessible. But on the RS4, the camera's USB-C port is at the back for some reason. I don't really know why DJI did this, but they probably have their reasons, and I just don't know what it is right now. I also want to look at the weight and payload as well. The RS2 with everything on it weighs about 3.3 pounds. The RS3 Pro with everything on it also comes in at about 3.3 pounds. And the RS4 Pro with everything on it is about 3.5 pounds. Off the get-go, when you're just kind of grabbing them and feeling them, it does feel like the RS4 is a little bit heavier than these two. But like I said, for some reason the RS2, and it may just be, placebo, but I feel like it's a little bit lighter. So DJI always tests these gimbals for 10 pounds of payload weight. Now the biggest difference is the smoothness and overall space to have bigger rigs on the actual gimbal. The RS4 Pro definitely has way more space than the previous two models comparatively, and you can easily fit more on here without any issue. They also come with soft shell cases to carry for portability, and the RS3 and RS4 Pro actually both have the same exact case. There's no difference in upgrading the RS4 Pro if you're just trying to upgrade for the case. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at the three key features of these gimbals. Now the RS2 uses regular locking sliding tabs, while the RS3 Pro and the RS4 Pro use similar ones, but also have an auto lock feature. When you turn the gimbal on and off, it'll automatically unlock or lock itself, which is super convenient and time saving when you're on the go. As far as stabilization performance, the RS4 Pro is using what DJI calls 4th gen RS stabilization algorithm, with each generation correlating to each number of model. It all really comes down to outcome and overall feel. Do I feel like it's struggling to stabilize what I'm doing and how I'm moving? The RS2 is obviously the grandpa for the mix, but I still think it's a solid overall stabilizer. Now when you compare it to the RS3, I will say the RS3 does seem a little bit more smoother in terms of stabilization, but if you're just using a camera body with either a prime or a lightweight zoom lens with the RS2, like a 24-70 by Sony, you shouldn't really notice any problems there. Honestly, I have used a 70-200 GM2 by Sony on the RS2, and it handled it pretty well. Now you do start to notice a little bit of stutters and less smoothness with the bigger setups on the RS2, and honestly even sometimes with the RS3, but it's not enough to bother you if you can do it in post stabilization. Now, as far as the RS4 Pro, I have been able to use it on a couple of shoots already. I wasn't expecting it to feel as good as it did. Compared to the RS3, it really is incredible how much smoother it is. I was genuinely impressed with this performance, which says a lot because I was expecting maybe 10%, 15% more smoothness. But I mean, seriously, like, the difference is night and day. No matter what I put it through, it didn't feel jittery. and it didn't feel like it was, fighting me. I will say when it comes to smoothness and overall stability, the RS4 really does take the cake and is the ultimate king of stabilization. I mean, mounting and accessory wise, these all share a lot of similarities. Let's talk about the battery life and charging. All these models of gimbals use USB-C charging that take about 1.5 to 2 hours of full charge with 25 watts of power going in. Now, DJI does say that the battery of the RS2 and the RS3 Pro are rated for 12 hours, with the RS4 just shyly above at 13 hours. But with my testing, I found that the RS2 lasted for about 6 to 7 hours on a charge when well balanced and in a good environment for it to be used. And the RS3 Pro and the RS4 Pro being closer to 6 hours as well, sometimes 5 whenever I'm really pushing it. I do feel like the RS2 might last a little longer, but honestly, that's just my personal case. And again, it could just be placebo. But from long time of shooting with the RS2, I felt like it gave me a little bit more juice when compared to the other two. Regardless, DJI did introduce the extended battery life grip. That's specifically built for the RS3 and RS4 Pro models. So if you need more juice, that could be the way to go for you. Now, as far as controlling these gimbals, my favorite way to control most gimbals is just what comes on the interface, and these have touchscreens. But the RS3 Pro and the RS4 Pro use a bigger and better screen that uses OLED technology. Spec-wise, we're looking at about a 1.8-inch OLED full-color touchscreen on both RS3 and RS4 Pro. RS2s use a 1.4-inch LCD full-color touchscreen display. I live in Florida, so I'm always on the go shooting outside, whether it's weddings or car work or lifestyle footage. I can definitely notice a difference between each screen when it comes to the LCD or the OLED. The OLED is obviously a little bit brighter. It has a little bit of a better contrast to read. With the LCD, I definitely found myself in awkward angles not being able to read what's on the actual screen. Now let's talk about switching through modes. The RS2 uses a little bit of an ancient thing called the M button, which switches through all the modes for you to use. On the RS3, it was introduced with the new switch little shifter on the side of the RS3, and the RS4 does adopt the little shifter as well with the modes, but it also introduces a new switch, a joystick/zoom toggle switch. Now, this switch lets you change between zoom capability on your camera when wired in, or the joystick function, which is normal for all the other models. As far as focusing capabilities, the RS2 uses what's called a 3D focusing system, which is only a single point focus system. But the RS3 Pro introduced LiDAR focusing, with the RS4 Pro expanding that to their second gen LiDAR focusing system. Now, I haven't personally used it yet, but it seems great if you have lenses without autofocus capabilities. Now, the biggest reason I decided to go with the RS4 Pro is because I was able to switch pretty quickly between the vertical mounting points on the actual gimbal. So gone are the days of mounting the plate on your cage or having an L bracket. Now you can quickly switch it over and still get a smooth visual that's usable in post. For most people, you may not care about this, but for me, as I was moving more into the content creation world, this kind of was a must, and it made my life way easier when going from horizontal to vertical shooting. Let's talk pricing. Straight from DJI's website, the RS2 went for $759 USD, while the RS3 Pro went for $739 USD, and the RS4 Pro at $869 USD. Now these are just the base versions, not with all the extra attachments and gizmos that you get with the Pro combo. But nowadays, a used RS2 can go for around $500 or so, depending on the condition. And the RS3 Pro goes for around $600. So if you are on a budget and want everything that comes with that combo, like I mentioned before, then getting the RS2 with a couple of handles and different attachments is not a bad deal, due to its versatility and price-friendly entry point. It might be the best go-to budget gimbal to still get nowadays because it works flawlessly. Now, if you don't care about all the attachments and extra gizmos that come with that combo, I would say go ahead and get the RS3 Pro. You could probably find a really good deal in a good condition RS3 RS3 Pro, and you get that OLED, the auto lock features, a little bit bigger payload, area. Now, overall, I really do think that the jump from the RS2 to the RS3 Pro may not have really been worth it unless you didn't have the gimbal at the time. But from the RS2 to the RS4 Pro, for me, it really seemed like an easy decision. We placed the order as soon as we could for the RS4 Pro, and I have been loving it. It's honestly one of my favorite gimbals that I've used in a long time. I do still think the switch from the RS3 Pro to the RS4 Pro can be worth it if you value the smoother performance and specifically the vertical mounting option, but honestly, other than that, maybe just waiting for a new RS5 would probably be a better choice for you. And if you don't have a gimbal and you are shopping to see which one you should get on a budget, I highly still recommend the RS2. It's a workhorse of a gimbal, especially if you can find one selling the combo package and use the focus motor and the Raven eye and possibly a pair of nice handles to go along with them. I have used the RS2 for the last 2 to 3 years with my car videography and wedding work, and it's been beautiful and amazing to me, and the only reason I switched is because of what I stated before. But that's my view on it. If you've been able to experience any of these gimbals, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and hash out why you think it might be the better gimbal, or if you should stick with your RS2 or RS3. And as always, subscribe to see more reviews and comparisons, and some sexy cinematics coming out very soon. Links for anything mentioned, if available, will be below in the description as well. Thanks for watching today's video. It's been Felix. Please hit that subscribe button. I am really excited to keep building this channel out and keep coming up with new content and fresh stuff for you guys. And check out my other platforms if you're interested on Instagram or TikTok as well. And I'll see you in the next video.